Hi, welcome back to part two of your Whole Body Communicator mini course. I'm Blaze from Weeping Willow Wellness, and let me just reiterate, this is part two. So if you skipped ahead and you didn't finish part one, you didn't try our sensation meditation practice, make sure you go back and complete part one because it is the foundation for the work we're going to do. If we dive in today to examining our mental chatter and doing mindset work, and you don't have that clear foundation of being able to get your body to a resourced state, of tracking your sensations that cue where your nervous system is at and bringing your nervous system into a regulated state, the work we do here is not going to stick. We're going to get stuck. So go back and watch that if you didn't already. And if you did, take a moment here, pause, check in with your surroundings, check in with your breath. Beautiful. If at any time you become activated, you can always pause and bring back that awareness of your physical sensations. Let your body continue to communicate with you throughout this process of learning and really throughout your entire life. Because what we're learning here is somatic living. We're bringing our physical awareness into all the other learning we do and relating and communication. So, with that said, let's get ready to go. This lesson is called What's in Your Head? What's in your head? In your head, right? Okay, I'll stop. But really, what's in your head? Heal your communication with yourself. This is our phase two, our part two of the whole body communicator method. So once you've healed your communication with your body so that you're able to track, you're able to listen to your body's cues of when you're becoming activated or when you need deeper rest or maybe when you need a little bit more activation and resourcing. Then we can dive into examining our mindset work and how our self-talk is supporting or maybe not supporting us. So, how are you talking to you? The narrative we tell ourselves determines approximately 93.5% of our experienced reality. And about 33.2% of statistics are made up on the spot. All right, I'm just checking to see if you're still listening. I obviously made up the 93.5% statistic, but I did it to make a point. Our brains want us to be sane. Our brain, our inner communication, that inner narrator, that narrative we're telling ourselves wants us to be right so badly because that's how we are experiencing our reality. Your perspective determines your reality. So what you're telling yourself on a day-to-day basis can completely shape and transform the way you experience your reality and that feedback you have with your lived experience. So your own impact on your reality. So I don't know if you know Tony Robbins, but he does a great little experiment that really illustrates this beautifully. So he is talking to a client and he asks the client, okay, look around the room and find everything you can that's red. So go ahead and try it right now. Look around the room, see how many things you can find that are red. Okay, I've got like 4 or 5 things. See if there's any in your space. And now close your eyes. Name everything in your space that is green. It's way harder, right? Because your brain was tracking red. Your brain was going, these are all the red things. Now you're asking for green. Wait, what? I wasn't focused on that. I don't know what's green. Okay, maybe I can remember a few things because maybe it's your home that you live in or something, but your brain wasn't focused on that. And so that's not the feedback that you were given, and that's not the information that you tracked and remember. So this is a great narrative that what we're asking our brain to focus on is what we receive back. So that is why our self-talk determines so much of our reality and our capacity and what we can create. So for example, if I tell myself, I'm just an impatient person. I'm impatient. My brain is going to go look through my entire day and find all these examples of how I was impatient and make that true. Let me get into it a little bit more. We have two options of how we can exist: fixed mindset or growth mindset. So, what is fixed mindset? Fixed mindset is the belief that abilities and traits are just the way that you are. They are unchangeable. They are, you know, innate, maybe just your personality. It's just who you were since birth. And this mindset doesn't allow us to actually change anything. It doesn't allow us even the feedback to see change. I am impatient. That's just how I am. It's just one of my character qualities. And then I see evidence for that in all of my actions because my brain wants me to be right. My brain wants me to be a sane person who says sane things. And so I'm being proven right. What is growth mindset? Growth mindset is the belief that intelligence and abilities can be developed through effort and practice. So we are changeable. Growth mindset allows us to understand that we can learn and grow with enough practice, with enough applied effort. We are neuroplastic. Our brains are mushy, malleable. We can create new synapses, new pathways for new changing ways of being at any time in our lives. And this is scientifically proven at any age. So that is growth mindset, and that's what we need to be in order for this work to work, in order for the work to work. So, how do we stay in growth mindset? And what are ways that we stay in fixed mindset? I'm going to keep using that example of the I'm impatient. That is an example of a character statement. So we have character statements all around us. Sometimes they're put on us from a very young age as children, but character statements are fixed mindset statements that describe a way that you just are as a person. I am impatient. I am really resilient. I am kind of lazy. I am adventurous. And some of them may seem more innocuous or like they may seem not that big of a deal. I am a yoga teacher is really just something I do. It's not actually a quality. I teach yoga. And so I might say I am flexible. That seems like a positive quality, right? To have. And if I continue to give myself evidence for that all the time, maybe I'm able to reach greater, stretching poses, but maybe it begins to undermine things. Oh, I am flexible, so I just have to be adaptable to everything because that's one of the qualities of who I am. I'm flexible, so I don't really hold boundaries because I just try to stay flexible with everyone else's needs. I am flexible, so I am going to stretch my body physically in my yoga classes to show everyone how flexible I am and keep that true and even injure myself. And I've literally done that. I've pulled the same hamstring like 3 times because of the fixed mindset belief that I am flexible. It's a way that I am, it's a way that I have to be. Crazy, right? So, character statements are the who are you, how are you, what do you do? And for the most part, they're not helpful. Even like, I am kind. That is not a way of being all the time. You can have a kind moment or a time in your life where it's helpful to be kind, but choosing kindness 100% of the time is not always appropriate. So here's what we actually want to shift into. Instead of fixed mindset character statements, what we want to shift into is behaviors. This is the key to changing everything. So even a great statement like I am kind, what's a moment you can think of where a kind behavior would not be appropriate? Maybe like someone is mugging you and trying to steal your phone or your purse or whatever. Yeah, saying I am kind, so here you go. No, that's a behavior that you can choose to implement at any time. Kindness is really just a concept. So a kind behavior would be I used a complimentary phrase for my friend because I love them and I want them to feel good about themselves. That's an act of kindness, a behavior of kindness. And then someone's mugging me. No, I use a self-defense action and run away. um, so this is the real shift here. We get into behaviors and everything becomes changeable because behaviors are just little isolated moments. It doesn't become, I am impatient. And so that's just a way that I am all the time. It becomes, whew, I just snapped at my daughter that one moment and I feel really bad about it. And it's one moment. And I can make a different choice many other times throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout our relationship. So we see all these different behaviors here. We see this little kid screaming. A character statement about that kid screaming would be like, that kid is a nightmare. That kid has, that kid is an anxious kid. Versus the behavior is, that kid is experiencing some big feelings. That kid is screaming right now. It's one behavior. It doesn't define them. And so you might be thinking, wow, okay, I'm really starting to notice how people probably spoke these things over me from a very young age. It happens all the time. This person reading a book, are we saying that person is lazy? Are we saying that person is really good at relaxing? We don't need to create a character narrative, a character statement, a fixed way that they are. We're just noticing they look really comfy. They are reading a book. And so we go through our lives and we isolate things as behaviors. And once we do that, behaviors can be changed at any time in our lives with skills. This is where we start to meet the somatic practices with our mindset work. So we've shifted out of character statements into understanding the things we want to change as isolated behavior moments. And then moment to moment, behavior meets skill and changes. So instead of I am impatient, it's just I snapped at my daughter. It's not a fixed mindset thing. I'm impatient, so I always snap at her. I snapped at her this one moment. And then I meet that with a skill. And the skill is where we bring in those somatic practices, that resourcing, that nervous system regulation. So, because of consistent body tracking practices, I am aware when my body is getting agitated. I can feel muscles tensing up. I can feel that inner storm building, that emotional storm building. And instead of snapping at my daughter, I reach for a skill. I reach for a breathing practice. I reach for an energy release practice. I reach for putting myself on a little timeout for 30 seconds and creating space and pause and distance from the trigger, whatever is getting me activated or agitated. And because of all those skills, I'm able to make a different behavioral choice. I don't snap at my daughter the next time. So, whatever it is in your communication or in your trauma patterns that is happening with different skills, you can make different behavioral choices. I hope this is clicking in, and I would love to hear if you have questions, if there's things that are, not making sense. Also, I don't know if you can hear my dog whining in the background, but I'm just gonna call it in right now because she is whining. We'll go out in a minute. You gotta wait. Wait. Is my dog a whining, anxious dog? Or is she whining in this moment? And I can give her the skill of waiting. You see what I'm doing here? It applies everywhere. I'm just being funny, but hopefully you can see how it applies to everything and everyone in our lives. So the bottom line here is that changing our behavior is unlimited. And when you've moved from fixed mindset into growth mindset, understanding that once you have the skills to bring in to change your behavior, anything is changeable. Your entire MO of relating to the world is changeable. This is so exciting. You can literally be like these goldfish and jump from one reality, pew, plop, into another reality at any time. This is freedom. This is true radical change. And I hope that this is getting you excited. Let me show you here just a little timeline of what went down with one of my clients. So this client came to me and he was really frustrated with himself because he wanted to be able to support his family member. She was going through a really traumatic thing, and he was unable to support her in the ways that he wanted to because of his own internal turmoil, because of his own lack of skills to draw on. So he showed up week one and he was just full of self-sabotaging statements, just saying like he couldn't do this and he had all these problems and he was such a blah, blah, blah kind of person and a blah, blah, blah kind of family member. So week one, we started to slowly dismantle some of that self-sabotaging language and meet it with somatic practices that helped him to actually feel different in his body so that he could notice how those self-sabotaging languages were untrue. When he felt different in his body, he was able to speak a different narrative. Week two, he continued trying the practices. And it's not always linear, right? We know in the healing world, healing is not linear. So it's not this perfect straight line, but this is just to walk you through the weeks. So week two, he was trying the practices, and maybe he still was slipping up sometimes. He was still saying some things that were a little bit damaging, but his language was shifting and his experience in his own body was shifting. Week three, I was able to actually reflect back to him the changes because he came back in with a little bit more negative language. And through our conversation and our physical exploration, I was able to show him with reflective language, look at all these things that are different, though. Look at the way that you actually are implementing change. Listen to how you just told me this scenario with the family member went differently this time. Week four, he was sticking with it. He was integrating, which means actually applying the practices in a more consistent way so that the change stays. And he was making lasting changes. And this person didn't even do the full 12-week whole body communicator program. He had some other things come up and he had to dip out after only 4 weeks, which, as a practitioner, I'm always like, oh my gosh, please stay because we want these things to stick. 3 months is like bare minimum for really, truly changing a habit. But I got an email from him recently, and this was over a year ago. And I got this email, and he said how much this work had transformed his relationship, transformed his life, how he was still hearing these lessons replay in his mind and help him make little incremental changes throughout his day-to-day habits and the way he communicated with himself. And that just made me so happy because there is nothing more important to me than helping people hack their lives to have this kind of change and have this kind of access to feeling better, behaving differently. So in Whole Body Communicator, we do lots of different mindset work and transformational language. Here's just a few others while you're here to give you even more to play with. So the first one is I have to. We change that to I get to. So much in our culture, people ask us, oh, can you do this thing? No, 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 I can't. I have to go pick up my kid. I have to do laundry. It's such a part of our day-to-day language. And it puts us in this cage of like our lives being all these things that we have to do. And instead, you could say, I get to, or I'm going to. It puts the onus back on us. We're making choices for ourselves. We are autonomous adults and we don't really have to do anything. That's not true. There's lots of things, but we get to. I get to puts it in gratitude. If that doesn't feel good to say in certain conversations, you can say, I'm going to. I get to do laundry. I have all these clothes and they're dirty because of I lived in them and I got all these lived experiences. And so I get to wash them because I got to wear them and I got to have them. And I get to do laundry probably in a pretty convenient way, whether it's going to a laundromat or, maybe you have a washer. Most of us don't have to drag our clothes down to the river and hand scrub them. That's amazing. I have to go pick up my kid. I get to go pick up my kid. Oh my gosh, I have this kid that I get to go hang out with. Whoa, what a different experience. The next one is always never. We do this a lot. Oh, you're always talking like that. Ugh, I always forget. You know what your brain's gonna do when you tell it always forgets stuff? It's gonna forget stuff more. Instead, we change it to that same isolated behavior and we pair it with supportive examples of the other. Instead of, I always forget my water bottle. Ooh, I forgot my water bottle today. But I remembered to put the shoes on that I needed for this activity. And I remembered to bring my phone. And I remembered where to park for this thing. Or give yourself examples of the other to support moving away from statements like always, never. You can do it with your friends and your loved ones as well. You always complain about blah, blah, blah. Mm, you're complaining right now. And I'm feeling this way about it. And I remember yesterday you thanked me for doing something, and it made me feel really great. I felt really good when you said thank you. They will respond so much better to positive reinforcement than to an always never negative rant. Trust me, I'm still learning this all the time too, but it is true, I promise. And the last one I'll leave you with is I don't have time. The truth is, we spend time where it matters to us most. And we all have the same 24 hours in the day. I will acknowledge that privilege and access to resources and, you know, our entire life story, of course, affects how those hours can be spent. And we are the author of our own life story. We actually truly do get to decide. And if we really examine our lives, there is always a way to shuffle things around priorities wise. And so if you're saying change and making your life better is a top priority because you know things aren't working, and then you're doom scrolling or watching another, binging another show, um, or whatever it might be that you're prioritizing over doing the work to make a change, that's what you're choosing. And you're not going to get different results unless you make a different choice. So that's my tough love spiel. You've got this. And here we are. It's all up to you. Anything in your life that you are looking at and looking to make a change, looking to heal, is ultimately up to you. And I am not discounting like being a victim of trauma is real. That is not, I'm not, you know, let's be clear, I'm not reframing victim blaming here. But where you are at right now and where you want to go is all up to you. So reframing is one of the most powerful things we can do with our life. So look at this statement. It's all up to you. Do you immediately go, ugh, Blaze doesn't get it. They don't understand how much like all these things happened to me and it's not up to me to change it. It's all happening to me. Or it's all up to me. Oh my gosh, that's terrifying. It's all up to me. It's all on me to change it. How can I possibly? Oh my God, that's so much responsibility. Or do you read it? It's all up to me. Oh my gosh, the power is in my hands. I'm the one. I'm the one, baby. I'm the one who gets to decide how the rest of this story goes. Wow, right? Okay. So, your homework this week is to notice where you use character statements. And if you're willing, go ahead and bring a little notebook with you or open a note in your phone and actually write it down. Anytime you hear yourself saying, "Oh, I'm like this," or even to other people, "Oh, you're just like that." Or anytime you hear an always never, that's often a character statement, a cue that you're using a character statement as well. And write it down and notice, and then email me your character statements because I really want to know. If you take this methodology of taking a character statement, shifting it into a behavioral statement, and then finding a skill to pair it with so that you can change that behavior, you can truly change anything in your life. And if you're getting stuck somewhere along the way of the process, go ahead and email me what you think the character statement is that you're using. And I would love to book you in with a free strategy call so that we can walk through this together and see what skills you might be missing in your tool belt and what might actually help you shift the behavior. Or if you're getting stuck taking a character statement and understanding what the behavior is that's underlying that character statement, or what the different behaviors are that are feeding that mental loop, that character statement. Email me or DM me on Weeping Willow Wellness Instagram. I am here. I would love to work with you on this and support you. And make sure you come back. We've got one more video where we're going to break down communication with others and take everything we've learned about regulating your nervous system, listening to your soma, bringing that into your communication with yourself, and tie it all in to healing your communication with others and literally changing anything you want in your life. I am here for more. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Thanks for being here today.